Hello and welcome, this is Paragon RG. We're taking a look at how top players utilize their troops and move them around the map. So that sounds simple, silly, but it's really important, right? You want your troops in a good position for a bunch of reasons, right? Often, I actually saw it in the last game if you're watching this on Twitch. We saw Viper put on an absolute masterclass in knowing when he values, let's say, jumping on his opponent's troops, and when he values just maintaining a central position where he can reinforce from that place. And then he ended up adding a castle there, a keep rather, and good things happened from there. Here we go. I'm now in the game. Sorry about that. So, we're in the game. Viper in the blue, playing as the Chinese on the west side of this map, and it is, I believe, high view. So you see all of the stealth forests all around the map. So this can definitely have a strong role in how players choose to move their troops. For example, if the Viper wants to hit his opponent, Lidicor, I think I'm just going to call him Lit because it sounds too much like Lidicor, the caster. I'm pretty sure this is not him. But if the Viper wants to hit Lit, all he has to do is loop around this side, and it's virtually impossible to spot him. So, it takes a little longer to do that, but can be very worthwhile, especially since, there's not a huge distance between the stealth forest and being able to jump on this wood line here. I'm going to go ahead and speed up a bit. I think it's possible what we see out of this game is both players do a kind of defensive boomy style. I'm hoping that's not the case, but if it is, I'm happy to speed through it with effectively no loss. Viper is here with one military unit, so not caring too much about that extra scout early on. So usually that indicates to me as a clear plan, wants to get ahead economically. On the other side, his Abbasid opponent Lit. How many do we see scout here? I think I only see the one scout as well. So a lot of players have been going with 2 scouts, but I've started to see a bunch of games with a single scout. They did nerf scouts a little in that they made them cost 70 food. Oops. Instead of 60, which does add up. Adds up over time. Mill now going down from Lit. By the way, they really need to add colors into the game so the Viper can pick yellow. Hashtag yellow for Viper. Dare to dream. Maybe in the March update, we will get that. So Scout continuing to look around. You've got to expect it's going to take a long time to actually scout the map on this map, just because it's just hard to see anything. Your scouts have so little vision for much of it. So he does scout around his opponent's base, and I think did see that the economic wing was being added. So plenty to go on, is going to hang around the front here. Okay, very cool. Forward Barbican of the Sun, coming out from the Viper. So I say forward, and he could have maybe done it here, but it looks like he's hoping to protect both the gold and the deer here. So very aggressive from him. And if his opponent, we'll have to see, if he's unable to run through here, then this is potentially a very wide area protected by the combination of the Barbican and the town center. So still speeding forward through the game a little bit. 2 spearmen here now from the Viper, hanging out just inside the stealth forest. They may even be visible from the left side of it, I'm not sure. Wants to jump on his opponent's scout, but will probably not be able to if Lit is on top of it, and almost kills it. Down to about 1/5 of its hit points. Lit now with a horseman chasing away Viper's scout. So very easy to disappear into the stealth forest. Until Viper isn't too eager to run off. Wants to get any intel he can. And probably wanted to see if there's a camel archer or something like that, which now that he is gone, Lit moves those troops. So that's actually a pretty cool play in and of itself. Looks like Lit was trying to hide the camel archers, and he's hoping he gets some sort of element of surprise now by busting out of the stealth forest. And we continue. So, Lit won't have seen this Barbican, I think. Does drive his opponent off of the gold here and manages to kill one spearman. But I don't think this is a major loss for the Viper. I don't think he has anything too big to worry about here. Barbican will chip away, and these cam launchers are not cheap. Even gets another shot, so one more and that cam launcher's donezo. Yeah, can even put villagers in it for a few extra shots. So Barbican, I would argue, is a very good landmark. Some people disagree with that, but I think it's just such a great option for a Civ to have, to be able to place that defensive structure. And I feel the same way about the Roof's Wooden Fortress, even if you would prefer to place the other one. Honestly, it's good to have the option. Forward town center now, coming out from the Abbasid player. Odd position. I mean, it's near the deer. We'll keep an eye on this. So I think this is a little bit of an overstay of welcome by Lit. He's lost the horseman here. Has a camel archer at 15 hit points. Horseman at 32. So this army is weaker than it could be for sure. And I'm not sure what damage he's actually doing here. The Barbican so far is paying for itself by just killing units. And I'm not sure if it can manually target or not. Now what it does do, it looks like the Viper has to pull back his villagers a little bit each time, but it may even be worth sacrificing the odd spearman to keep your villagers working if you're the Viper here. Yeah, well, have to give it to him. He's not losing camel archers now, and he's really slowed down the Viper's gold collection. So Viper adding the Imperial Academy here. This will be Song Dynasty for him, and villager goes down. So one simple way to outmatch your opponent's villager production is obviously the Song Dynasty. You can see his villagers produce in 13 seconds. I think it's 12 and 2/3. Basically, the time it takes your opponent to multiple villagers being lost now from the Viper. The time it takes your opponent to make two villagers, you have produced 3. So you can think of it as 50% faster, if that makes more sense to you, or maybe 50% more productive would be one way to put it. Viper, scouting out what's back here, has some spearmen. Little bit of an odd move from the Viper. The question is, how much are the spearmen going to be able to do here? Spearmen, not really the best raiding units, so we'll try to keep an eye on that on the minimap. He now has archers and spearmen at home. In combination, this should be pretty good against camel archers. Archers alone should be able to outmatch camels. Spears have jumped on his opponent's villagers, and he hasn't noticed yet. So far, this is a really solid move from the Viper. Even just taking out 2 villagers, I would be perfectly happy with that. We'll check back in just a minute. We'll count the bodies. Viper driven off gold again and again here. Oh no, it doesn't look like he noticed. So I see 3, 4... I think it's probably at least 5 because they've been disappearing now. So Viper sneaking around that side. Even the scout here is only going to see so much. You're almost better off putting a scout here, you know, and then at least you see this broad area, and maybe it stops a little into the stealth forest. These spears will be cleaned up, but they have done more than enough. And villagers being added to gold now. Let's take a quick check of the villager counts. 38 for Lit and 39 for the Viper. So keep in mind, Lit is on 2 town centers. I'm assuming he has fresh foodstuffs, and you can see it is missing there. So he is making villagers at half price. Nice little discount for him. But the Viper is also on Song Dynasty. Looks like Lidicor is primarily interested here in hitting Castle Age. He has almost enough food to go up, but nowhere near enough gold. No, he has clicked up. I'm mistaken. So that food is, he wants to spend that food if possible. He's already clicked up with the Culture Ring. The onus is now on the Viper to follow suit and hit the Castle Age, or to get enough of an advantage with a boom himself. Military now moving to the south side of the forces that Lit has here. And I wonder how much the Viper knows about this force. Lit moving forward. We'll very easily kill these villagers if... Sorry, these spearmen. I don't know why I keep saying villagers. If the camels get on top of them, you know, pretty much triple damage coming out of these camels. In fact, yeah, currently 30 damage instead of 10, so they go down so quickly. Wide loop here from the Viper, so we'll see what he can see. More villagers on stone now for Lit, so it makes me wonder if he wants a castle or another town center or what. Already has the stone he needs for another town center, though. And if Viper does this right, he'll move these. Okay, is stutter stepping? Often the right thing to do is move them right about here, although I guess he'd be in range of the TC. So this is masterfully done. Kills as many as possible, doesn't lose a single archer. Viper maintaining that villager lead. Viper has now clicked up to the third age with the astronomical clock tower. So we'll see what advantage he's able to get from it. You can no longer supervise it with an imperial official. So nowhere near as good, but let's take a look. Looks like 2 barracks being added. So this is going to be a hard switch toward Palace Guard. Do we see a third? He did add another town center, so I think it's this one. Yeah, I think it's this one here. So 3 TC boom now for the Abbasid player. And I've been wanting to see this for a while. Fresh foodstuffs. I've mentioned previously, I'm not a big fan of the tech when you're on 1 TC. When you're on 2, it's, I think, pretty decent, but it's not as big of a power spike as you might hope for. On 3, you know, the advantage becomes so big. So it won't take very much time at all now for this town center to pay off because these villagers are so cheap. But that is, of course, if he can keep them alive. So Viper hanging out in these stealth forests, making it so much harder for his opponent to track him down. And you'll see how much more active the Viper has been. So there was a period where Lit was really active over here with his camels, managed to kill a few villagers of his opponent. More importantly, just drive him off of gold over and over again, which probably slowed the Viper from hitting the Castle Age. Did lose a couple units doing it, but it ended up being pretty effective. Since then, though, it's mostly just been a central position. And I guess working toward the resources for another town center. So we should start to see the villagers pile up in favor of Lit. And he is currently... Hello? Nice try from Lit, but the Viper does manage to take him out with his Palace Guard. Those are very much revealed now. So Scout going down to some Palace Guard as well. Keep in mind, Palace Guard are pretty much men-at-arms, but they are faster and they have less armor, I believe. So their melee armor is lower. But speed is often what you need. Lit jumping on these archers from the Viper now that have been causing problems just here and there. Keep in mind, they popped over to the stone mine and they killed so many villagers. So you would hope, actually, that Lit already had the villager advantage. But he just hasn't. He has it now. But he has not had it for very long at all. So, honestly, he could still be behind cumulatively in total resources generated this game. Viper trying to move forward, take out this outpost, gets initially denied by camels, but the clock tower, nest of bees, do drive away those camels. Horsemen coming forward now as well, but Viper with both spears and Palace Guard. So I think that's a pretty strong counter to what we see here, unless there's just enough Lancers for Lit that he can get away with it. One Horseman goes down immediately. Some decent shots on the Lancer and Horseman there. Viper moving forward with an outpost, so starting to get aggressive, and I love this. We saw this last game as well. Viper added Trebuchets. Trebuchet coming out. I'm so hopeful that Trebuchets are actually worthwhile in this game. So big battle starting here. We'll take a quick look at the minimap. I don't see any additional troop movement, so this is the place to focus. Often someone like the Viper will start a battle, and then will move units elsewhere on the map, so the battle is effectively a distraction. But so far, it looks like it's going pretty damn well for Viper. Starting to hit these crossbowmen now as well, but half health going down from them. And this outpost will continue going up now for the Viper. Trebuchet now continues coming forward. So I'm assuming it'll take out this outpost and then chip away at this town center. And of course, this not being not being the home TC for Lit. There goes outpost being targeted. Wait a minute. Were Trebuchets... They were buffed recently, weren't they? Yeah, they get plus 450 against buildings now. So 550 damage now per hit is pretty solid. I forgot there was a buff there. I don't remember how much damage they did before. It might have been 500 or maybe 450. Yeah, look at that. That's about a fifth hit points gone on this TC with one hit. Do we see a second Treb? Dare to dream. In the meantime, getting greased axles. Trebs being viable is very needed. I totally agree with you. It is such an important part of the game, and I'm sure some people watching weren't AoE2 fans, but Trebs are like majestic in AoE2, and they're such an important end game unit. It'll spice up the Castle Age so much. Think about this as well. If Trebs are viable, it'll even lengthen the Castle Age, which is actually where I think a lot of people want to be playing. Because Trebs are expensive. So if they're expensive and viable, resources will be going toward Trebs instead of Imp, right? And then Bombards in Imp. Look at this range, though. And we do see Springle emplacement plus the extra hit points on this tower as well. Town center does go down, so honestly, this Treb has probably already paid itself off. All he has to do is guard this thing and slowly push forward now. And really, now it's... Let's take a quick look at the villager count. So 67 for Viper, 95 for Lit. So it's up to Lit to get the advantage he needs out of the villager lead he already has. Oh my god. 31 villagers on this stone mine. Seriously, dude, put up a second mining camp. Second Treb out from Viper. I like this so much. I really hope we start seeing more of this. Crossbow's coming out, but I'll be honest, Lit does not look prepared to deal with this. Does have actually some Springles out, which I did not immediately see. And I think the Viper sees them and pulls back immediately. Look at the sight lines from the outposts he has, and even Trebs. I'm pretty sure Trebs have massive line of sight. So, do they have line of sight here? They don't. In the meantime, just going to chip away in any way that he can. Drives away his opponents. Oh, just like 3 torches on this thing and it's down. I thought he'd maybe swing over and just destroy this, but it looks like it may burn down. Anyway, Lit really needs to send a single villager to repair it. Villager. Oh, it goes down. So Trebs so far being very, very effective for the Viper, and he has a third one. They're clock tower Trebs as well, so 600 HP instead of, I believe, what would be 400. And here I am, distracted. We're supposed to be watching troop movement on the map. Viper has moved around with 4 Palace Guard, at least 4 left alive now. Takes out at least 1 villager. The rest are able to hide, but this is definitely a nuisance. Big battle now in the middle. Crossbows will be extremely effective against these Palace Guard. However, depending on how well the Springle battle goes for Lit, really defines this, because these Nest of Bees will be able to take out the crossbows. Looks like Viper has won the Springle battle. Crossbows will focus down the Springle, after which they should probably... Oh, there it is. He doesn't think he can win the Clock Tower Nest of Bees. Take out the crossbows here. I actually didn't expect a GG just here. So, huge villager advantage for Lit, but he's unable to take advantage of it. Viper takes out 2 of his TCs. I think Lit probably could have played a little longer, but he obviously felt he was pushed off of the resources that he needed, and he called the game. Outpost catching potential snipes from Springles is huge. So huge. And, like, look, this outpost is amazing, right? It just sees so much of this. Can we still... Let me pause this real quick. Make sure the game doesn't suddenly end on us. from the Viper's view. Yeah, that's awesome. And the fact that he's pushing like here and there's an outpost all the way over here is such a good heads up play from the Viper. Also, he knows his opponent's force is like all over here, right? In theory, he could loop down this way, but would probably get spotted as well. And this outpost having Springled emplacements means he can help snipe down his opponent's Springleds as well. So yeah, really good observation. So that's this game, folks. This one's been Paragon OG. I hope you enjoyed this. We're really trying to focus on how top players use their, how they move their troops. And in this case, in the end, Viper with some really good, let's say in the mid game, really good troop movement to kill some villagers around the sides. But in the end, it was a simple push through the middle, outpost to spot, nest of bees plus palace guard to guard, and then trebuchets to take out his opponent's TCs, and that did the trick. So really, really well played from the Viper. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.